Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Namo tasse bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhasse. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May my homage to my teacher, Pinwat Lokuswamin Wahanse. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, dear friends, we were talking about Sabbāsava Sutta, all the taints or all the defilements. So in that sutta, Buddha teaches us about 7 methods to abandon defilements in our mind. I have a presentation for that sutta. So let me share my presentation. Sabbāsava Sutta, actually, we talk about the first part of this sutta a couple of weeks ago. So, but we can do a quick recap. So Buddha said, Buddha was going to teach about the unwholesome, all the unwholesome states of the mind. Then Buddha said the freedom from unwholesome state is for the one who knows and sees. What must we know and see? The wise attention or wise thinking, unwise attention, unwise thinking. Unwise attention or unwise thinking. So Buddha says when one thinks unwisely, unarisen negative states arise and arisen negative state increase. So it means whenever negative states arise in our mind, at that moment we do unwise thinking. So whenever we do unwise thinking, unarisen negative states arise and arisen negative states increase. Wise attention. So when we do the wise attention or wise thinking, the opposite happens. When one thinks wisely, unarisen negative states don't arise. And arisen negative states are abandoned. For example, let's see someone do some bad thing to us. Then we might think, oh, he did some bad thing to me, or he defeated me, or he stole what I had. So whenever we keep such thoughts in our mind, then what happens? Anger rises in our mind. So as long as we think in that way, anger arises and it becomes very stronger. But what if we start having some thoughts of love and compassion in our mind? So then anger doesn't arise in our mind. Even if there is some anger in our mind, it will fade away. Then Buddha teaches us 7 methods to remove unwholesome states of mind. Okay. I will go quickly through these slides. So there are unwholesome states that should be abandoned by seeing, restraining, using wisely, enduring, avoiding, removing, and meditating. So we talk about those two methods. Okay? Seeing means like understanding the 4 noble truths. We need to understand 4 noble truths. Noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the origin of suffering, noble truth of cessation of suffering, and noble truth about the path that leading to the cessation of suffering. So when someone reflects on 4 noble truths, then they abandon defilements that should be abandoned by seeing. And then restraining. We should restrain our sense faculties. Okay, I will go through these slides very quickly. So we talk about things that we should not think. Okay. So type of unwise thinking. So these are the things in the that sutta. Okay. So this unwise thinking leads to the 6 types of self views. Things that we should attain. So we talk about the skillful person reflects wisely on 4 noble truths. So we talk about the noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of the origin of suffering, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering, the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So when we develop our understanding about the 4 noble truths, 3 fetters or 3 main defilements will be removed. View of self, doubt, and clinging to rituals and observances. Then we talk about unwholesome states to be abandoned by restraining. So we have to restrain our sense faculties, our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And also we talk about like when we are not mindful, and also when we have a lack of understanding about the liberation by wisdom and liberation of mind, then at that moment, negative thoughts arise in our mind. But when we are mindful and when we know exactly about the liberation of wisdom and liberation of mind, then we don't cling to the things that we experience, and also we don't get irritated by the things that we experience. Okay, today we are going to talk about unwholesome states to be abandoned by using wisely. So Buddha says, a bhikkhu, a monk, or a nun, or a meditation practitioner reflects wisely when using the four requisites. So what are those things? Robes, okay? Or for you, your clothes. Okay? So first, let's focus on the first one. Using the robe wisely. So Buddha gave this sutta to the monks. So we have to use our robe wisely. So always we should reflect. So I wear this robe for protection from cold and heat, protection from contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and creeping things, and for modesty and to cover the body properly. So we need to reflect on the main purpose of using clothes. So otherwise, what happens? We will never ever satisfy with wearing clothes, buying new dress. So then maybe every month you, oh, I don't know, maybe every week for some people, okay, they need to buy a new dress. And then they are always focused on those things. Then they forget the things really matters in their life. Not only that, so when they have a strong desire for having many different clothes, many different dresses, then so many negative thoughts arise in their mind. And also they always compare themselves with others. And not only that, these days, like people spend so much money for their clothes. So, but actually here Buddha advise monks, when you wear a robe, always reflect on the main purpose of using your robe. So it is only for the protection from cold and heat, and to protect your body from contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, sun, and creeping things, and for modesty and to cover the body properly. So how many robes do monks have? Mainly Buddha's recommendation is 3 robes. 3 robes. Single layer robe, so this one, there is only 1 layer. Double layer robe and under robe. That is the Buddha's recommendation. Okay? And also, I used to live like that at the beginning of my life, like I only use 3 robes. Okay? But now most of the monks use 4 robes. Okay? Single layer robe, double layer robe, and 2 under robes. So today I came to Manhattan to do a meditation, to find a place for our meditation program, and I wore this robe. This is single layer robe. So if I have to go to Canada tomorrow, I wear this same robe. If I have to go to Sri Lanka tomorrow, I wear this robe. And at my monastery, I wear this robe. So very simple. I don't have to make many uh, choices. Okay. So always I know I have one single layer robe and I have one double layer robe. Yes, monks, they always wash their robes, but they use only 3 or 4 robes. It's easy. And then we don't have to take so much time to find a robe. Okay? And always there is one robe for us. Then life is very simple and very easy. But I know as lay people, you cannot do that. Okay? You might need one dress for your home and for your workplace, to go to the temple, to go to the church. Okay? It's okay, but you should know your limit. Okay? So here Buddha said, always reflect wisely. Always remind yourself why I use these clothes, this dress. So then always we can control ourselves. Otherwise, there is no limit. Then, because of that, it would become an obstacle on our way to find our inner peace. Okay. The next one, using alms food wisely. So Buddha says, when you eat food, always reflect. This is not for amusement, intoxication, beautification, or attractiveness. So it means like intoxication means like sometimes like we eat food to become very stronger, and then we are intoxicated with our strength. We are drunk with our strength. We think, oh, I can do anything in this world. I'm the most powerful. But that's not the main purpose of having food. And Buddha says, reflect. This is only to sustain the body, relieve hunger, and support the holy life. And also to end all the painful feelings. It means the pain that arises through the hunger, and without arousing new ones. So when we eat food, we abandon the pain that we have through the hunger, then we don't arouse new painful feelings. To live healthily, blamelessly, and comfortably. So that is the main purpose of having food. So yes, you can enjoy your food, but however, you should know what is my limit. So because for a monk, eating food is not the main purpose in their life. Okay? The main purpose is practicing the teachings of the Buddha and attaining the full enlightenment. So actually, if we try to understand the true nature of foods, then naturally we can restrain our tongue, because we have a strong desire to eat to have so many different flavors, to taste so many different flavors. But all of those things are very, the happiness that we get from all of those things are very temporary. So think about the food that you ate for breakfast or for the lunch. So right now, you don't have that taste because you experienced it when you were doing that. Now it's just a mental object in your mind. So all the food that you ate throughout your life, you might have gone to some fancy restaurants, okay? Some very expensive food, okay? But the happiness that you got from eating food is over. Okay? And what if you eat the most delicious food in this entire world right now? For a couple of seconds, you will feel the taste. Okay? You would say, oh, it's very delicious. But the next moment, that feeling, that pleasant feeling, comes to the end. So we cannot find a real happiness through the food. So that's why we need to reflect on the true purpose of having food. It's only to sustain this body and to relieve the hunger. So then, and it is only as a support for this life. So, so that is the second thing. Whenever we eat food, we should reflect wisely. And Sariputta Thero, he was an enlightened monk. He was one of the main disciples of the Buddha, and he was foremost in wisdom. So, in his verses, we can find this wonderful verse. He says, whether the food he eats is moist or dry, he does not overeat. He leaves some space in his stomach and eats mindfully, knowing his limit. That is how a monk should live. So that is the way for everyone to live. Then, so that's why, like for monks, like we don't eat after 12. So in the Buddha's time, monks they had only one meal, only one meal. Now we have two meals, okay, between like 6 a.m. to 12 noon. So within that time frame, we have two meals, okay, two meals. But after 12, we don't eat. We don't eat until next day morning. Okay. So nowadays people talk about intermittent fasting. Okay. So people talk about, oh, intermittent fasting is really helpful to maintain a healthy body. So back in the days, in the Buddha's time, they practice it for like 23 hours. Okay? Now monks practice like 18 hours every day. Okay? So even for you, like it's good to practice it, practice the fasting at least once a month. So normally on full moon days, lay Buddhists, they observe some higher precepts. We call it 8 precepts. When they observe 8 precepts, they abstain eating after 12 noon. They don't eat until next day morning. So it is a very good practice. So you can also try that. So you don't have to wait until full moon comes, full moon day comes. You can practice it. So you can stop eating by 12 noon, then you can start your fasting. But however, the monks, like we can, even though we don't eat, like we can have some drinks and some other beverages if we want. So, however, we should know the limits of eating. Okay? So that's why Sariputta Thero says, like, he leaves some space in his stomach and eats mindfully. So that is another thing, eats mindfully. So, sometimes we don't know what we eat. At the beginning, we know, oh, there are some foods, so we take some food, then we know we have these foods. But after a couple of minutes, we don't know what we ate. Why? Our mind is all over the place. So that's why we should try to eat mindfully. Eat mindfully. So when we eat mindfully, then we know our limits.
What recommendation, like how many days do you recommend lay people do the fasting? Is it just on full moon or?
Actually, the Buddha's recommendation is 4 times every month.
Okay.
4 times every month. What do you call these days? Like the 4 phases of the moon, like new moon.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other 3 things? Like full moon,
half moon,
quarter.
quarter. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 days. So, but if you can do it at least 1 time every month, then it's good. So, and the mindfully. So, when we to eat mindfully, we can be when we eat, we can be aware of the feelings that arise at that moment. Okay? So, for example, like suppose like you eat some food, maybe so. Suppose you have a fork and then you use that fork to eat food. So before you start eating, you can look at your plate and then you can be aware of the colors and shapes of the food. Okay? And also at that moment, you don't feel any taste. So at that moment, you have some feelings based on what you see, not what you eat. So you can be aware of that. You can be aware of the colors and shapes of that food. And when you touch it through your fork or by your hand, then you can be mindful of that feeling. Okay? And when you bring your food to your mouth, you can be mindful of the movement of your arm. And when the food touches your lips, you can be aware of that. You can be mindful of that feeling. But still, you don't have the taste of that flavor. And then when you feel the taste, then you can be mindful of that. And also when you chew it, like inside of your mouth, you can be mindful of the texture of that food. And also when you chew it, you can be mindful of that. And also you can be mindful of that sound. And when it goes through your throat, you can be mindful of those feelings. So then you can convert your breakfast or your lunch or your dinner into a meditation. So maybe on our Sunday meditation, we can give it a try to practice mindful eating. Even though I cannot eat, you can. I can guide you to maybe eat your dinner. Okay, so let's move on to next one. Using the resting place wisely or a shelter wisely. So Buddha says you should reflect on. So I'm using this shelter or this uh, place only for the protection from cold, heat, insects, wind, sun, and creeping things. For safety from weather, for peaceful retreat and meditation. So monks, they reflect, why am I using this shelter or this cottage or this monastery? So, like sometimes people buy mansions, okay? But they might live in that mansion only for 1 day or maybe 2 days every month, every year. Sometimes they don't remember about their mansion. So still you can buy, but you should understand the real purpose of using your house. Why am I using this house? So what is the purpose? So the other thing is, whenever we reflect wisely about the things that we use, then it helps us to develop our mindfulness. Why we reflect on the purpose of using those things, then it helps us to bring our focus to the present moment. Otherwise, our mind is all over the place. But when we take a moment to reflect on the purpose of using these things, then always we can bring our focus to the present moment. So that is another technique to practice mindfulness. So again, that Sariputta Thero says, when a monk sits for meditation, as long as his knees don't get wet from the rain, such a hut is sufficient. This brings comfort to a monk who is diligent in striving for Nibbana. So Nibbana means the final ultimate goal in Buddhism, or we can say full enlightenment. So here he says as long as his knees don't get wet from the rain, such a hut is sufficient. So they don't need a big house, a small shelter. For what? To meditate, to develop the path toward the full enlightenment. I know you cannot do that. Okay? Even I cannot do that nowadays, even though I'm a monk. But so we need to hear the message of those enlightened monks. It means we should reflect on the real purpose of using all of those things. So then it helps us to get rid of a lot of defilements in our mind. So if we don't reflect, then so many defilements, negative thoughts arise in our mind. So, sometimes we have to live in some nice monasteries, okay? Monasteries on the top of the mountains, okay? And then there are some cottages. They are those cottages have very nice view, and some cottages they don't have the nice view. Okay? So if we don't reflect on the real purpose of having a shelter or a cottage, then we will try hard to get that shelter that has a nice view. Okay? Then we might compete with other monks. Okay? And then it will arouse so many negative thoughts, defilements in our mind. And also, it could happen when you go to a meditation program. Okay? So there might be some place, some spot at the room that is very comfortable for you. Then you might try to go there and sit before someone else go there. Okay? Then before you go to the meditation, like you have some negative thoughts in your mind. But if you reflect on the real purpose of using that place, then we know, okay, it's okay if it is not comfortable, still I can sit, I can meditate. So then when we reflect on those things, then it's really helpful to abandon many negative thoughts that arise in our mind. Then the next one, using medicines wisely. So Buddha says we should also reflect when we use medicines only for curing or preventing illness, for maintaining good health to continue the practice. So, do you know what the primary medicine of the monks? Our own urine, that's the primary medicine for the monks. So that was the Buddha's recommendation. So Buddha said, for a diligent monk, own urine is more than enough as a medicine. Okay, so but yes, monks, they can have other medicine, but that's the primary medicine of the monks. So because in the Buddha's time, many monks, they lived in forest. Sometimes they couldn't find proper medicine. So then they used their own urine as a medicine. So those are the, this is what we call taints should be abandoned by using wisely. Okay, I think we talk about the third method of abandoning defilements in our mind. Okay, so do you have any questions to ask? So what do you think about?
I have a question, Bante. How do you make a urine become a medicine? How do you make it a medicine? I thought urine is toxic. They say you could die from there, from drinking the urine. You could die.
I don't know about the scientific side of that. That was the Buddha's recommendation. Okay, so I have used urine as a medicine. It has helped me. Okay? It has helped me, especially when I had some when I had cold and fever. At the initial stage, it has worked. It has worked.
I mean, our own urine. So after we drink it, then it will cure our cold.
Don't think I'm recommending it. So I'm sharing my experience and Buddha's recommendation. Okay, Buddha's recommendation.
And I do believe that the baby's urine is useful because I heard my grandmother told me one time in old times when they didn't have any medicine, they were in the village and they were so poor. What they did was when they get sick, they drank baby's urine.
Yeah, so but this is here it speaks about our own urine as a medicine. Okay? So it has helped me to control some of the symptoms of cold and fever. There was a monk, he used to be a doctor. At the first year of our first 2-3 years of our monk life, we had to live in a very big monastery. At that monastery, there were like more than 100 monks. So then sometimes some disease like cold and fever spread out among the monks. In those months, when it starts, like that monk, he was the one who took care of all of us. He was the one who gave medicines to us at that time. Then when it starts, like when couple of monks when couple of monks become sick, then he starts to say, "Oh, now is the time to take your medicine." Okay? So he referred to urine.
For example, for specifically for the monk, are they allowed to take any medicine that are like pharmaceutical, just like in critical situations like that? Are they allowed to or not
Yeah.
really?
No, we are allowed to have those ordinary medicines always. Okay? So there is no any restriction for that. Okay? Buddha recommended having the urine as the medicine, but Buddha said if you can get some other medicines, you can take those medicines.
The food you prepare, are there any rules? Like, are you allowed to have a frozen food or it has to be prepared fresh? Like, what are the rules around that?
We don't have any specific rules for that. Actually, normally monks, we don't cook. Most of the time, people offer us food. There are 10 types of meat that we are not allowed to eat. And also there's another one, like suppose like someone offers some meat to me. If I have seen that animal was killed to give food to me, then we are not allowed to have that meat. So it means like when an animal is killed for me, then I'm not allowed to eat that meat. Okay? Other than that, there are no any special rules when we prepare food for the monks.
Bante, isn't one of the, not really, I don't know if it's a rule, but I always remember Bante Jivananda saying food should be made with good intentions. Like when you're preparing the food, always have good intentions, don't be angry, be calm.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. Like whenever, so when you give food to someone, then it's a good karma. So it could be to a monk or your family member or your friends. Okay? And when you give something to others, like always you make a good karma. To make it more powerful, Buddha says you should have a delightful mind on 3 occasions before you offer it. Like it means like when you are preparing that food, then you can have some delightful mind, pleasant mind, some wholesome thoughts in your mind. And also when you giving that to the person, again you can have a delightful mind and some wholesome thoughts. And after you finish giving that food, again you can remember that moment, and then you can have some wholesome thoughts in your mind. So when you give something to other people, such a mindset, then your good karma become more fruitful, more powerful. Okay, so today we talk about a part of wonderful sutta. So we collected a lot of merit, good karma. So by the power of all the good karma we collected, with the blessings of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may you have a long life, healthy life. May you be successful in your endeavors. May all the good fortune come your way. May you be able to realize the 4 noble truths and attain bliss of happiness, Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, I'm going to chant verses of blessing. Please close your eyes and listen to me. Abhivadana silissa niccang vaddapachayino Chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balam Ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha Ato nibbana sampatti iminate samujjate. May you have long life and be free from illness. May you attain bliss of happiness. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you so much for joining today. May you be well and happy.